What if I told you that one of the most ancient spiritual texts in the world is actually a doctor's diagnosis for the human condition? That's what we're digging into today with the Sutra on the Four Noble Truths. Seriously, think of it less like a scripture and more like a doctor's chart for all of humanity, one that lays out a symptom, its root cause, a prognosis, and yeah, even a prescription.
You've felt it, right? That little hum of unease in the background. That feeling that things just aren't quite right. It's this subtle dissatisfaction that can follow us around no matter what we're doing. So where does that come from? Well, what if the answer isn't some super complex philosophy, but a really clear, four-step diagnosis that was figured out thousands of years ago?
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. We're just going to follow the sutra's own amazing logic. First, we'll look at the diagnosis. What's the symptom we all share? Then we'll get into the cause of all that discontent. After that, the good part, the promise of peace. And finally, we'll check out the prescription, the actual path to freedom.
So let's start at the beginning. Part 1, the diagnosis of life. This is the moment where the doctor, so to speak, takes a look at the patient, which is all of us, and puts a name to that fundamental symptom we all experience. Okay, so the first truth is all about this idea of ku. Now, you've probably heard it translated as suffering, but honestly, that word is a bit dramatic. It makes you think of some horrible, intense pain. Ku is way more subtle. It's like the low-grade, constant friction of life. That feeling that things are never quite perfect, that they're unreliable, and just unsatisfying. It's a universal kind of unease. And the text does not mess around. It gets straight to the point with these really stark statements. It starts at the very, very beginning, saying the act of being born itself is a form of this unease. And it just keeps going right through the whole arc of life. It points to aging, the decline, losing some of that strength and energy, as another core example of this fundamental dissatisfaction. And of course, there's the fragility and pain that comes with getting sick. Any kind of illness, whether it's in your body or your mind, is laid out as another one of these unavoidable parts of the human condition. And it wraps up the cycle with the one thing none of us can avoid, death. The end of life, according to this diagnosis, is like the final, undeniable proof of this truth. Yeah, it's a bit of a tough pill to swallow, but the text is just trying to lay down a foundation of what's real. But the diagnosis doesn't just stop with the big physical stuff. It goes way deeper, into the psychological things we all deal with, like having to be around people you really don't like, or the pain of being separated from people you love. And that classic one, the frustration of just not getting what you want. It even gets super subtle, pointing to the unease that comes from our very own minds and bodies always changing. Okay, so if that's the symptom, what's the actual disease? Because any good doctor knows you can't just treat the symptoms, right? You got to find the root of the illness. And that brings us to the second noble truth, ha. This one pinpoints the root of all our dissatisfaction as this relentless thirst or craving. It's not just about wanting things. It's about that clinging, that grasping, that desperate need for pleasure to last forever, for pain to go away right now, and for life to just be exactly how we want it to be. And what's amazing is how relatable the examples in the sutra are. We crave and cling to our family, right? Our kids, our partners. We get attached to our stuff, our house, our property. We get really attached to our social status, to our jobs, and to all the comforts that money can buy. This isn't a moral judgment, by the way. It's just an observation. This is what we do. And the text says this is the direct cause of our unease. All right. I know, so far this might sound a little bit grim. We've got this chronic condition and we know what's causing it. But this, right here, is the crucial turning point. This is the moment the doctor leans in and gives you the good news. The prognosis is actually hopeful. There is a cure. And that's the third noble truth, jin. It literally means to stop, to end. And the logic is just so simple and elegant. If craving is what causes all the dissatisfaction, then the end of craving has to be the end of dissatisfaction. It is totally possible to extinguish that thirst. The text uses these incredible words, describing a state where that craving is severed, abandoned, extinguished, calmed. That right there is the promise of real peace. And you can just see the difference here, side by side. A mind that's run by craving is always chasing the next thing. It's reactive, it's unsettled, and its happiness completely depends on what's happening on the outside. But a mind at peace,
One where that craving is calmed down, it finds real contentment. It's stable, and it has this amazing inner freedom. It's not about being numb. It's about finding a well-being that actually lasts.
So that leads us to the final, and let's be honest, the most important part of this whole thing. If a cure is possible, how do we get there? What's the actual prescription from the doctor? Well, the prescription isn't just one magic pill you can take. It's a path. It's a whole training program for your mind, and it's broken down into 8 parts that all work together to create real, lasting change. And here it is, the Noble Eightfold Path, or Tao. It's this amazing, holistic approach that you can basically break into 3 big chunks. First, there's wisdom. That's developing the right view to see things clearly and the right resolve to actually commit to this. Next comes ethical conduct, how we show up in the world through right speech, right action, and right livelihood. And it all comes together with mental discipline, the actual training of your mind through right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So don't think of this as a list of rules you have to follow perfectly. Think of it more like a set of skills you can develop over time. The sutra is crystal clear. Walking this path, practicing these things, is the direct way to apply the cure and find that peace we were just talking about. And there you have it, the whole framework in one shot. It's just so elegant and logical. It starts by naming the universal symptom, life involves dissatisfaction. It diagnoses the cause, our own craving. It gives us a hopeful prognosis, we can put an end to that craving. And it gives us a clear prescription. The Eightfold Path is the way to do it. So that leaves us with this one kind of wild question to think about. I mean, we live in this world of non-stop emails, social media anxiety, and endless things to want. And yet a text from 2,000 years ago seems to have absolutely nailed the exact mechanism that drives our modern stress. So if this ancient diagnosis is still spot on today, what does that tell us about how little the basic operating system of the human mind has really changed at all?